What's up, everyone? My name's Matt James, and welcome to Generation Bitcoin. Today I'm here with Justin Wu. How are you doing today, Justin? Thanks for being on.
Great. Thanks for having me on too as well. Excited to be on the show.
Yeah, great. Let's get right into it. So I want to start off a little bit with a backstory about you. So you're the host at the DeFi Summit, the largest crypto conference dedicated just to DeFi. You're on the community team at Pi Blockchain, and you've built over 200K followers across Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Very impressive. So tell me a little bit more about your backstory. What have you been involved in throughout the years? What are your interests and passions, and where are you now with that?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I've been doing growth marketing in the space since 2017. Initially got into working, for better or for worse, the initial like ICO launches in the past as well. And through kind of my career, I kind of just started building up communities and ecosystems in the space on the behalf of other companies. So I worked alongside with companies such as like AirSwap. So AirSwap was like one of the first, early decentralized swapping. They can do like peer-to-peer as well. And then I helped, worked a few different things such as hosting Seattle Blockchain Conference, the largest Seattle blockchain conference here in the Northwest. E3 blockchain gaming stage. I hosted the first E3 gaming / NFT stage inside of E3. That's around 2018. People thought we were crazy. And then fast forward to now, just been focusing a lot on DeFi and NFTs. Looking at a multi-chain, cross-chain ecosystem and seeing what's going on in decentralized finance. What really, excites me about the whole space right now is that we're starting to find a lot of different use cases for crypto, which is just bringing more mass adoption and liquidity and money into the space as well. And we saw we just breached 2 trillion market cap again. So I'm excited where the whole direction of everything's going.
Awesome. Yeah, you seems to have a lot of experience in this space. You dropped out of college, is that right? And you made that work with being an entrepreneur and all that?
Yeah. So I dropped out around my junior year, and it's because like my marketing agency at that time was just taking off. So I just went all in on it, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, haven't looked back ever since.
Hell yeah, that's the way to do it. If you can make something work like that's super sick. So I respect the hustle for sure.
Definitely.
You prefer the entrepreneur route than the 9-to-5 route?
Yeah, for the most part. I think that there's value. I mean, I'm not going to discount like the education that I went through for university. I did meet a lot of really great and super smart people, and also learned a lot of things at a high level as well. So, but I think the mismatch is the cost of the education. I think you can get that elsewhere as well too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, in terms of just like being an entrepreneur and builder, I've always been that, and it's very hard. But I think it just comes down to discipline and also too just setting goals to like what your personal growth goals are and what you're trying to do, and constant iteration. I think failing forward is the best analogy I could say.
Yeah, you have to learn every time you fail, right? And then it's a step towards your goals for sure.
Yep.
So when did you first find out about crypto? Was it way back? Was it a while ago, and why did it appeal to you when you first found out about it?
Yeah, so I actually found about it in around 2013-ish or so, plus or minus around there. I actually found out.
Same here.
Yeah, right. I heard about actually. So like when at first I heard about Bitcoin, it was through the Silk Road, and a lot of these guys were just going and buying. They're sure they're just buying drugs and stuff on there, and I discounted the Bitcoin because of that initially. But there were people that were heavy on Bitcoin at that time because they were using the Silk Road as that was like the first application for that brought more mass adoption. Fast forward a little bit more after that, Bitcoin started its move from a little bit more mainstream, going from, I saw it go from $100 to 1,000. I was part of that time. I started buying Bitcoin at like 200-ish. And then I saw these other coins such as Litecoin, Dogecoin, and others where I could actually mine them with my graphics card. And I had a lot of gaming tools and computers. And so I started mining Dogecoin and other script-based mining coins.
Did you hold the Doge all these years?
I did not actually. So, I always tell myself I like staying poor because I had over 100 million Dogecoin in the past, but it's something that you can't really you can't really predict and figure it out. And I had to liquidate all that because of to cover my mining costs, hardware, etc. And then also too, I was just converting it to Bitcoin and a few other coins as well at that time. So I personally thought Dogecoin was a meme. I understood how it could spread a ton, just seeing it how meme level it got to on Reddit and Steam. But yeah, ultimately though, I had to sell it all and I didn't keep any, or I probably had a wallet that had a ton and I just lost the wallet. I just through the years.
Yeah, that's how it is with most people. It's hard to hold, and also there's so many things that could happen. You could have it on an exchange like Mt. Gox and it could be gone. You could have a scammer steal it from you. You could lose the seed phrase, not back it up properly. There's a lot of possibilities, and a lot of people haven't held on and still have their crypto after all these many years. I know a lot of people who've lost it and, have it on an old laptop and the laptop's gone or whatever. So yeah, it's quite the journey to keep it through many years for sure.
Yeah. Especially at that early time, you never know, crypto was so unstable. And then hearing the whole Mt. Gox stuff happening and you're like, oh man, this might be just a fad and it's dead or whatever. And, you just never know. The industry was so nascent at that time, and because of that, there wasn't really much jobs or things to work for in terms of as an industry, except there was a few pioneers, and then that's where I met people like Brock Pierce and others that were just 100% into Bitcoin and crypto, but it just didn't seem like it had traction at that time, and you just can't even see it at that time. People are still building some super foundational stuff, and even then. It took them how long? When I was in 2013, another 3 or 4 years before we saw the next emergence of the DAO, Ethereum, and others pop off too. But that's when I start hearing that, then Ethereum and the DAO. That's when I started getting back into crypto and started working in the crypto industry.
Okay. Yeah, you're right though. Back then, no one really took it seriously. It was kind of a fringe thing for sure, and it had a lot of more risk, and it was a lot more difficult to understand and to properly self-custody and all that. Now we have a lot of good education tools out there. So I did a little research on you. I did see a picture of you with Ron Paul, and that's pretty awesome. So you met Ron Paul, is that right? And are you into the whole libertarian scene, or?
Yeah. So first off, I'm definitely in libertarian, or as close as you can get. But I always know that too, being a libertarian could be a pipe dream for many. It's so divisive, even within the libertarian community of what a libertarian is. Some people are like, "Oh, Rand Paul's a libertarian." No, he's not. But that's a whole nother subject too. And I think Ron Paul is as best as we got it, and he got squashed. So, during the whole rise of Ron Paul, I was just very active on his campaign. Met him as well too during that whole time, and then got to participate in Washington State caucus and stuff, and what's going on there, and got to see Ron Paul got censored and stomped out. So but in terms of the whole libertarian idea movement, I had supported, but at this point I'm just I declare no party pretty much. I'm just in the middle. I just look at both sides and see how messed up it is.
Yeah, super divisive right now. You're right, and
Yeah.
even in these communities, crypto, you got your super divisive libertarianism. It's like we agree on 99% of things. Like, why can't we just come together and work together, right?
It is kind of the nature of libertarianism. Everyone wants their own freedom to do their own thing, and they have their own personal interest, and then they go also just running over other people as well too. I think the one that was it Peter Thiel and others are just like an examples of like not true libertarian. Under the guise of libertarian, and then just going in and just doing deals with the government and just personal interest stuff, and it's just libertarian shit.
Yeah, politics as usual. Yeah,
definitely.
All right. Well, I wanted to get into DeFi a little bit here. DeFi has gotten, blown up as of recently, and there has been a few hacks. I'm sure you've heard of them. I was following the Thorchain project, and what they're doing is really cool. They have a cross-chain DEX that was actually a working product. So that was pretty dope. I supported that. There's a bigger hack, the Poly Network hack, where there's over $600 million stolen from that one. Have you been following these hacks recently? And are you thinking that it's a bad sign for DeFi, or what's your take on? Do you think DeFi is ready for widespread use yet, or
no?
You think these hacks
definitely. We're still super early. But first off with the poly hack, like it was personally like I just don't know much about the poly market. But when I did ask around, it seemed to be like a place for a lot of the Asia traders and investors to participate in. Personally, if I saw that site, like it's just not for me, because it's all Chinese like partners, and personally I stay away from any Chinese product from China and or catered to that market. But that's just because my trust level is not there with, especially for DeFi. I only trust like non-Asia projects overall. That's my personal backing. In terms of like the hacking and whatnot, obviously we saw that the hacker returned all the funds and whatnot. It exploited a new part of, I didn't really dive too much deep into it, but like I saw that they were able to not attack from just like a single protocol. So it wasn't like Polygon or Binance Smart Chain's fault. They attacked the smart contract or something in the code where it had to do with like cross chains or multi-chain. So just being able to like move assets from different chains, like I'm sure they were able to attack different things there. So I do think that, like with these hacks are terrible, but at the same time, if we can get more white hat hackers, I wouldn't call this guy the white hat hacker, but although he pretty much returned the money, which is great. But revealing all these issues, even though there is a hack, like is part of the process, because it's like it reminds us we're still super early, and the more that we can continue to find all these bugs and codes and exploits, then we seal all that up, and then we'll get ready for institutional to come. But we're already seeing that in the future, where like Aave and others are creating kind of their own private offering for institutional and bigger money to come in. So like either like a private pool that nobody can really touch in. It might be permission even as well. And so like that's probably like the safest way to protect future institutions and fintech companies to come into the space and protect their liquidity from some of these attacks. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but it's a little bit more siloed compared to being like an open liquidity pool or network across for DeFi. So yeah, I'm always keeping tracking the space. So I think we always joke around another day, another hack. It seems to be a normalized thing.
Yeah.
If we were
the prices didn't even move much. I was surprised.
No.
It's like people were, that's normal. That's fine. It's expected.
Yeah, it's like either immune to it or I don't know. But the craziest thing about DeFi I've seen is I think it's because like DeFi, the mass adoption for DeFi has been so all degen heavy, like degenerates. All the DeFi farmers, like they would. I mean, the fact that these guys are everybody is in DeFi is just a bunch of apes that are just throwing money at like really wacky code back then. Even now, still, they'll just look at a site and see high APY and high farming and no auditing, unknown team, ain't on team, might get rugged, but they're still going to ape in. And it's like people, we've seen it in the past year, like people getting rug pulled left and right. And if we had that same situation happen, ICOs, like it would have definitely just impacted the price. We're like, oh, shoot, like this is not stable. But yeah, it's pretty crazy to see that people are still okay for that. And they're just chasing the gains. I think that's really what it is. It's like people got burnt, but as long as that's part of the process, and you have to just calculate for that, I guess. But overall, I am bullish in the space despite the hacks. I think that what's exciting to me about this is we're able to just take all these like fintech models that are happening in real life, in the real world market, as well as some of these neobanks and others, but do better than what they're doing as well. So I think that eventually we're going to get there, and we're still super early. I mean, DeFi just started really taking off like a year or two ago. And even then, we're still pioneering the space. Yeah,
you're right. Though there are a lot of rug pulls and scams out there, so you do got to be careful. But I haven't gotten too much into what do you call it, yield farming and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. There's a lot of NFTs too. It's kind of a little bit more out there on the risk curve. You're taking
Definitely.
more risk and you're going chasing those big gains. Have you had any experience with that? You've been tinkering out with different yield farming. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm a daily farmer. So yeah, I've been farming a few different platforms at the moment, and clocking in a good amount of crypto a day.
Nice.
It definitely requires experience, especially like you just have to start small and just to learn how to DeFi farm and provide liquidity during these LP pools. But then you have to also kind of just learn about impermanent loss. Impermanent loss is super real. Whatever asset you join in, or even if you just go in and see high APY, but you buy the governance token, you have to really look at the token economics of the protocol of the platform or the farm that you're farming in, because if you also have high APY, if everybody else also has APY, that means they're farming a ton of the governance token, and then they can just instantly dump it, especially if the farm itself has no utility except to just farm. Then the price action is just going to collapse, and you just see all the like farm token governance tokens just keep going down because there's just so much downward sell pressure. So I say that token economics plays a huge role in DeFi and DeFi farming as a farmer, because it's when it comes to like farming, in the end of the day, it's just all math and numbers. What is the APR? What is the APY? That's also important. Understanding the difference between APR and APY. And then impermanent loss, and then protocols too at this point. The way I see DeFi though is just like it is going in waves, meaning like it's jumping from Ethereum, then it went to Binance Smart Chain because Ethereum hit its like scaling caps, and then it went to Polygon. But what we're going to see next is these other protocols such as Polkadot and Kusama turn online. Cosmos, Cardano, and when they first launch, you're going to see the same exact thing. You're going to see the food coins, the meme coins. It just follows all the same exact pattern because it's just all hype, and if people can just print a new token, they're just going to fork code easily, as long as they have it ready to go. Then they're just going to fork code, or they're going to find somebody that has built the first Uniswap of that protocol, and then somebody will fork it again and just create another farm as well too. So that's the way I always look at it. There's always opportunities in those days, and I always like to attack it on day one, because like the APY on those farms could be like 5,000+%, and if you go hard on it, then you can make a ton of money early on and then exit it.
It's crazy high.
Yeah, it's crazy high because they're just minting tokens, and the rewards are super high because they want to bootstrap the network with liquidity.
Beginning.
Yeah, and build the hype. It's part of the hype cycle.
Yeah, that sounds like you really got to stay on top of it, and things are constantly changing in this space, like you were saying. Going from one blockchain to a different blockchain, forking code, and coming out with a tweak, and that's the new thing, and now the old one's out, and it seems like a very high paced environment to be in. So you really got to. Yeah. So you think cross chain? There's going to be more development there. You think things 100%. Are going to link into each other, and things may be linked into Bitcoin as a base layer or something like that.
Exactly.
That's what I've been looking into.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely looking into cross-chain stuff and multi-chain. The biggest two that I'm looking at is Cosmos and the Tendermint ecosystem, and then Polkadot and Kusama in terms of a multi-chain or cross-chain implementation that is more immediate right now. Others are building a lot of these bridges as well, and just wrapping, usually wrapping assets like Wrap Bitcoin and others, Wrap Polkadot, Wrap ETH, etc. On native to their chain and platform. But when it comes to like cross chain and multi chain, I think that like Cosmos right now has a new upgrade called Cosmos IBC, which is called Inter Blockchain Communication. And then very nature of Tendermint and Cosmos is basically Internet of blockchains. So all the projects built inside of Tendermint or built on Tendermint are multiple layer ones, and there is essentially like a free way that you can open up a port and just connect all the layer ones together, and then just be able to move your assets from one chain to another seamlessly as well. So that's just starting now, but won't really kick into Q4 to Q1. And then Polkadot is a little bit modified version of that, where it's 100 blockchains, layer ones, connected by what they call a layer 0 or relay chain that just like relays tokens and assets and liquidity across all those 100 of chains together as well too. So that's like a more advanced implementation of Internet of blockchains or cross chains world. But looking at like even like Bitcoin and Bitcoin DeFi as well, they know that that's been popping up. Like they're trying to build like there's stacks. I think one one's called Mint Layer, and there's like a few other ones too that I've been just keeping a watch on. But I haven't really fully dived too much deep into it yet. I'll probably dive a little bit deeper into it once it's like people start actually launching a little bit better. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Matt, maybe you might know there are like actual successful Bitcoin DeFi stuff, but a lot of the DeFi crowd that I've been has not really like picked up on that or really mentioned it as much as well. And it's not like people in DeFi are anti-Bitcoin at all. It's just we just haven't heard of any like good yields and good farms, and
the degen gamblers need some bigger yields, right?
Yeah, because what I'll say is that the chain doesn't matter, and decentralized, the qualities of the chain doesn't always matter in the way that people think. People thought that Ethereum was the only DeFi chain, but Binance Smart Chain is really really centralized, and as the only qualities that DeFi farmers care about, again, is gains, speed, low gas fees, and quick transactions that can allow you to compound as well super fast. So I think that that's also important for Bitcoin DeFi is even if they were to just implement basics of it, the next level question after that is can the fees at least be a little bit lesser than, like, if it costs you $100, even $50 even to transact in a single move for DeFi, like even Ethereum, it is too costly. There has to be like a layer 2 option, whether it be through Lightning or something else that allows you to transact much faster on Bitcoin and cheaper too.
Yeah, there's a lot of innovation in the space for sure. Lightning Network, like you mentioned, is really doing well. Their capacity is growing like exponentially. It's crazy, and people are using it all over the world as means of exchange. So yeah, it's really cool following the space. And there's, like you mentioned as well, Stacks is trying to bring smart contracts. I mean, Bitcoin technically has smart contracts, but it's super basic and simple. I mean, a transaction is kind of like a smart contract, but yeah, it's trying to bring more DeFi to Bitcoin. So it's interesting to see how it's going to play out. One of my friends was making the case that, Ethereum, you can look at as a layer 2 to Bitcoin if they connect them in a way where, you start with Bitcoin and you go to Ethereum in order to do DeFi. I mean, that kind of makes sense. So I don't know. I'm kind of looking at everything from a interconnected standpoint. And I do think that Bitcoin serves the best purpose as the base solid foundation for things, since it's, so super decentralized and so super secure. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think the one of the only closest things right now for now is wrap Bitcoin, WBTC.
Yeah.
It just depends on who you ask about like Bitcoin and how Bitcoin can play into DeFi. And ultimately for me, the goal for Bitcoin and DeFi is not necessarily, it's decentralized. But for me at least, is just the value capture of how much liquidity and money is in Bitcoin, and how can you at least
the network effect
transact and utilize that loan or LP for the as well too. So that's for me like the biggest like gold mine that you can tap into for that. And again, like at least. And that's why, like, I personally don't have any beef with like wrap Bitcoin, except the fact that like it could go bust. Potentially, if the Wrap Bitcoin Foundation or whoever is running it isn't doing well. But again, like even if it goes bust, then somebody else will come back in again and just create a more better version of Wrap Bitcoin that works, right? Or they might have to centralize it and take actual custody of a central organization like Circle and USDC and come in and step in and take custody of or trust of those Bitcoin as well too. But it will be done one way or another if Wrap Bitcoin fails, and I think that we'll see more further implementations of that across all the other chains, where at least like they can tap into the liquidity and money of Bitcoin, but then still use the qualities of their chain and natively within their chain to transact and exchange. But it again depends on like what the goals of like Bitcoin DeFi are. If people want to. If you're like more on the Bitcoin maxi side, then of course you want to have more transactions just stay on chain and just stay within the Bitcoin ecosystem. But if you are focusing on more like DeFi value capture, then it's more so just bridging and tapping into Bitcoin liquidity and wrapping or bridging it into your ecosystem.
Yeah, it's interesting. Wrap Bitcoin isn't technically Bitcoin, but I get what they're trying to do there. It's a token, right? But yeah, it's definitely doing some good. We're able to test out new things. I kind of see a lot of this as a big test net. We're testing out new technology, and this is not everything's not going to be perfect, but this is still innovative new technology for sure. So
yep.
So are you? I looked into I think it's called Illuvium, a video game.
Oh yeah.
Can you go over a little bit about these video games? Are they connected with NFTs, or how exactly are they integrated with crypto?
Yeah. So this is a brand new category. They're calling it. There's so many. I mean, it's just with any new thing in crypto. Whenever there's a new thing, somebody's gonna come up with a new acronym or a little keyword or name for it that may or may not be adopted. So for play to earn started popping off because of Axie Infinity. Axie has had a great run so far, and it's still in alpha. And a ton of people has made, a ton of money off of Axie Infinity. So, Axie uses NFTs for each of the game characters or creatures in there. It's similar to like Neopets or Pokemon. So you have to like collect them, play a little mini game and breed them and collect in-game currency as well on top of it. So there's NFT layer, and then there's a few different tokens inside the ecosystem as well that kind of helps drive the economy, and also are for specific use cases as well.
Are there companies behind these video games, or how does that work?
Definitely.
Okay.
So Axie Infinity was definitely more like an indie blockchain game studios. They really got together after seeing CryptoKitties, and they wanted to essentially make CryptoKitties, but real utility. And they kind of did that, right? They took these cute characters At first, they were just existing, and then they started adding actual use to it as well, which I should have kind of paid attention a little bit more. But we're still super early on it. And what they're calling it, this new category of thing is game finance, I guess. I don't know who coined that term, but that's like the closest thing. Play to earn is GameFi. It combines gaming, NFTs with DeFi together, because like it technically, like, you can earn and get, essentially it is like a yield in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you own plot in these digital metaverses and games, like you could get a yield for just like renting and lending out your land as well too. So that's super interesting for me, because like like I said, like I started to get into crypto because of Litecoin and Dogecoin, because I'm a big gamer and I love games. And the fact that we can make money by playing games now, it like blows my mind, like even more further than, excites me more than esports even, because esports now can be like a battle when you're playing Fortnite. You really can start competing for money, and that's super crazy. And we see these esports tournaments make a ton of money, and that's still from centralized entities. But yeah, like Illuvium is another game created by another game studios, built on Unreal Engine. It's one of those like auto battler games. I don't know if anyone plays those games, but it's like team fight tactics built by Riot Games and others. So you just get your full like team of monsters or heroes, and then just deploy it in a different position in the map, and just click go, and they just fight each other, and you're hoping that you position your guys really well, and there's some strategy behind it, but I haven't really dived too much deep into it. But what excites me though is that we're seeing AAA games, like looking games, starting to get into blockchain and crypto, get into the space, and that's what's going to bring a lot of adoption and dollars into the space.
Are these NFTs and games that are most of these using the Ethereum blockchain for tokens, or are they on different blockchains? Or
right now, yeah, it's all Ethereum. And then soon, it pretty much is going to jump onto a layer 2, so like a Polygon or another EVM compatible layer 2 called Immutable X as well. That group's is still growing, but they're making some really good games. Yeah, because like right now Ethereum is still super, especially now it's like still super expensive to transact in the game, and there are other chains that games are built on or exploring, like Wax, EOS, and others, or modified versions of those. But like in reality, right now, like it's mostly Ethereum that's driving the games for now.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how tokenizing things, relating a token to a piece of art or a digital item. Definitely, I could see that being used in the future for sure. I'm not sure how it's going to play out exactly, but it's interesting. Do you think that we can tokenize pretty much everything, and how do you see that playing out in the future?
Sort of like for me, I'm like more of like somebody that. I like NFTs, but I don't fully like the speculative aspect of it. Well, it depends on if you go into art, it's always pure speculative. I don't know how to rate art. Like art. If somebody draws like a Picasso, then like, how do you put value to it? But maybe we might have realized that we've been rug pulled the whole time. Maybe the whole art world has been all full 100% money laundering and pump and dumping each other. It's a billionaire's game, right? They just look at like one red dot on a piece of paper of canvas or something, and pay millions of dollars, and like maybe the art itself had no value. It was just the medium as a money tunneling or hodling asset, just to hold value capture, value locking, right? In a way, through a unique piece that is one of one, or you think it's one of one at least too. So like,
you think it is, right?
that
maybe
it's
too, like launched on another blockchain, or it could be multiple of them.
Or it could be the fake, like the real world assets, the real fake. But like if you don't know about that, it's just crazy to me. And the fact that like even in the art world, like people are the fact that they're like airports dedicated to like storing art and like moving it. And it's just another asset and commodity for some of these guys that are handling their money and whatnot. But yeah, speculation is something I really don't like. You see, with lately we see like the Bored Apes Club, penguins taking over Twitter. People are paying like 15,000. I debated about it. I was like looking at, do I want to click and buy this like JPEG penguin just to get a new Twitter avatar? I don't, for 12 grand. I'd like, nah. The biggest issue for me for like the NFTs right now is like we're still like in phase one. I like to say like we're in like pretty much like ICO phase of
Yeah, a lot of
hype. No utility at all. And so I would like to see more utility, but I think we'll take another 3 years. Like that's just always how the cycle works. Pure speculation. You just got JPEGs right now. In the future, I'm more interested in the NFTs that can actually generate yield or value, and that's why like I think games and GameFi is much more interesting to me, because like each character or weapon item or whatever it is, or land even, can be attributed to some sort of utility, or utility value by generating revenue or in-game impact as well, which again still almost relates to like economy and economy.
Like in the metaverse, right? That's what they say.
Yeah. So it either has to have a use for me, like the NFT should have more utility use case, but that's just like me with my hat saying that we're still super early on. I still think that, yeah, like right now, like all the JPEG degens out there are still experimenting and pushing the things forward. But what I'll say is what's very different about the NFT hype right now versus the ICO hype is that value capture in NFTs is getting locked up more hard. It's way more locked up than how it was in ICOs. ICOs, people could just like mass dump and crash the token price. With NFTs is, if nobody is selling the NFT, then the value is just supposedly staying at that point. Then people are just stuck in bag holding, and that's it.
But it's actually illiquid. I think a lot of these will be illiquid.
Illiquid. So then you might be we might be over measuring some of the NFT marketplace because it's just all like listed price. It's not true price of actual volume and sales. So I would always say to like take a look at like how the transactions are flowing. I would be very data driven, especially during the hype phase as well too. Of like, if the volume for these the penguins are collapsing, then you could probably see that the base floor price would drop down as well too. But I'm not an NFT analyst, and I just don't like to be right now because it's just all speculation based right now, and
a lot of people are trying to flip them.
It's a flipping game right now, which, again, like if you're really great at it, I bet you can make a ton of money. But I like to say, I personally just really like to sit down and just be able to calculate, okay, what's the yield or utility of it? And so instead I'm just like jumping straight into like GameFi. I'll watch what's going on in like the NFT art collectible space, but it's just personally not for me.
Yeah, they're coming out with, tokenizing, just about everything. And the market, in my opinion, is getting pretty, it's going to get more and more saturated because these tokens can be created pretty much instantly. And, you can make art to indefinite amounts of art. So I think there's going to be more and more of these, NFTs, and a lot of them are going to be illiquid and people are going to be stuck holding the bag. I think most of them are going to be illiquid. I'm sure it's possible to, find some good ones, but I think that, there's going to be more and more getting in there. And there's, I looked into recently, NFT rocks even. They have pictures of rocks that they're selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's crazy. And these people
has a rock as well too.
It's crazy, man. And people are buying these up, and they're going further out in the risk curve because people are trying to get yield, and the money is being debased. And I really think that's causing a lot of this gambling behavior because people need to store their value, and you have fiat money that's being debased like crazy. They're printing 30 to 40% of all dollars were printed in the last year. So people are going further and further out, and they're trying to generate yield, and it's pretty crazy out there. Yeah.
What's also different though is like, if you are following the NFT craze today and you're seeing like these these rocks, these ETH rocks going for like 100,000 plus, these penguins going for 12,000, and the Bored Apes are going for like 50,000 plus as well too. I will not say that it's not invalid. I'd say that the validity of that right now is like for the Bored Apes, the Meebits, the CryptoPunks, is that they got recognized by Christie's and Sotheby's. So it's like it took its own shape and form of its own community and kind of culture in its way. And so like I consider those ones as like the tier ones because they're validated. And as with any like token as well too, like it exists because it's validated by its own community. And so I think that those are right now really big to not die. And because if they're continuing getting certified and authenticated by these art galleries, then the price floor is actually maintained or actually increases through the roof. So then now those NFT collections are here to stay, and they'll maintain value because the perception and community is already there. What these NFTs groups and collections are also kind of doing is they're essentially forming DAOs in a way. Like if you buy an NFT, like you're a Bored Ape, like you have essentially transitioned and joined that Discord community and group. Now, whether that DAO itself actually has real utility, who knows? Like they are donating to stuff. They're building some cool applications. They might have meetups, and sometimes it's just a straight measuring contest where it's just like I have the biggest ape. I'm the biggest ape of all. I'm the king of apes. You're gonna listen to me, and they might have more clout as well. So you're just seeing these like celebrities and whales get into this game, and it's like that clubhouse effect. You just want to be in that group. That's it. Like with amongst like this elite, and we're just seeing like these multiple tiers now of like CryptoPunks being like, I'm a millionaire baller here, like I'm the top tier CryptoPunk. And then you got the Bored Apes, which is like, you're like the 50 to 100 grand type of baller spending that. And then the penguins are now like the 10 grand, 10 to 15 grand floor. So like there's different tiers that you kind of graduate, but, or if you just like the animals too. So it's becoming a little bit more, it's more complex than just like JPEGs now. Because of that community feel and that DAO feel. And then I'm seeing that some of these, NFT groups are building more utility soon, and I think that's the way to evaluate some of these like collections now. If you see somebody just minting these like random NFTs like a corgi and all this stuff, they're just like now riding the hype of following these like CryptoPunks and stuff. Doesn't mean that there's not opportunities in that. But again, I start playing in the mindset of like, okay, is it short-term hype? If it's short-term hype, then just flip that. If it's a little bit more medium to long term, then just wait for utility to come in and kick in, and follow the development for all of them. And that's the way I would evaluate it.
It's hard in my opinion to just flip things in general. I've tinkered around with, stock options are kind of similar. You got to enter in at the right time. You got to get out at the right time. So you got two different timings there that you got to time correctly. It's a hard thing. And, I kind of, really is. I kind of given up on it. I just buy and hold stuff now,
Yeah.
But yeah.
You really have to have the alpha, you almost have to front run everybody, and that's what's happening right now. Yeah. Is a lot of these NFT collections are being pumped and dumped by these like crypto Twitter shills. Like I've seen it nonstop.
Lots of that.
Yeah. They'll buy in at the minting, and it won't become a thing yet. It's like again, like it was like the early DeFi farms. Like they all told each other first. They bought it.
It's like the ICOs of 2017.
Exactly. Except the difference now is that they're not dumping on masses of people. They're dumping it on they're making it very personal. They're just dumping on you, just one person at a time. And the rug pulling just like a few people. So it's like, it's different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. With DAOs, they're trying to decentralize, organizations and decentralize altcoins, and it's very interesting though. I don't know if you've been following the government at all, but the SEC has recently been talking about how they define a security, and if there is a team behind it, and investors came in, whether that was a pre-mine, whether that was some type of token sale, if there were investors that came in, purchased tokens in hopes of gains in the future, and due to the team behind the project, if there's a centralized team, that is defined as a security, is what they're saying. So it's interesting. I'm wondering how this is going to play out, and if they're going to, go more heavy after these altcoins that are more centralized. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the suggestion was like, if you are going to launch something, you should stay decentralized, or you should launch it decentralized before as early as possible.
It's hard
from
though.
the beginning. It is really hard.
Yeah.
To do as well, and I think what we'll have to see is like how the Ripple case will play out. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, like. Even right now, still though, it's just like I don't think even the SEC and others are still super early on DeFi. We have not seen any major cases against DeFi, but maybe it's also too. It's like, how can you shut down something that's decentralized for the most part? We are seeing a lot of regulation though. Like Uniswap had to like actually restrict tokens.
Yep, on their interface.
On their interface. But the interface is not, their argument for them is the interface is not the protocol. The protocol is decentralized. It's just the interface for them because they are in New York or wherever in the U.S. jurisdiction. They have to comply and not sell securities or close to securities. Even though, like, we see all these like random DeFi farms just straight up be kind of like a violation of all that. But the question is, does decentralize the fact that it's decentralized allowing them to skip the SEC laws and security laws? I don't know, and I don't know if the SEC can stop that either right now currently. So they're still playing like cat and mouse with a few other things, and so that like are NFTs also securities too? Like in the future, if the NFTs are generating yield, like don't we have to KYC everybody like as well too? Like technically, it's super complex.
It's interesting to see how it'll play out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I tell people, decentralization is a spectrum, right? So you got projects. A lot of times they start out a little more centralized, and then they get more decentralized as they have a working product and they are able to develop and all that. So the only fully decentralized, fully if you can define that, but is Bitcoin, right? That's the most decentralized. So let's move on a little bit to Bitcoin. You support Bitcoin and I do too, and we've been here way back since 2013, and I think it's a big game changer, and I think there's a lot of potential there. It's a new money that people are able to store their value in, something that's undebasable, that's unconfiscatable if stored properly in your head. People are able to, flee from tyranny and store their value in something that's not being debased if they have hyperinflation going on like Venezuela or elsewhere. So it's providing a very good use case for humanity. And I'm a big, I follow, I consider myself a libertarian. I'm very liberty minded, and I do support, this human rights aspect to it, that, people are able to have property rights. They're able to store their value in something, and a lot of people don't have access to stocks, real estate, stuff they can hold their value in, and all they have is a fiat currency that's being debased like crazy by the day. And if they're in a crazy tyranny and they're not able to leave, or they're not able to buy some gold and leave with that gold, Bitcoin's something that you can store in your head and they can't confiscate. So yeah, it's just something that's really, really interesting to me, and I'm really getting behind, and I think there's a lot of potential there. So are you on the same page with me with that? Are you do you see Bitcoin as a good investment? Are you a hodler for long term?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely hold Bitcoin still, and I think long term still it's great. Admittedly, I am just a little bit more heavier skewed on altcoins currently, just because it's like just from the pure, like, again, I'm a DeFi DJ now. It's just pure from a games perspective, or the farming perspective, or speculative aspect where I think that this alt will gain more than Bitcoin, In the end of the day, I will get more Bitcoin because of me. I'm trading off of these alts as well too, because it's like
For sure.
if we're waiting for Bitcoin to go to 100 grand, that's like only a maximum, like a 2x. Like by the time Bitcoin hits 100 grand, these other coins will 5 to 10x minimum, or if it's like an early stage project, 100x as well. So like I'm not opposed to alts as well, and I'm using alts as a means to just
get more Bitcoin,
stack more sats, man. That's the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just like your risk behavior. It's like everything I always see is like core is the Bitcoin. Everything else is just trying to like make more sats, stack more sats. And
yeah.
So that's my point of view for that. And so that's why I'm not opposed to like altcoins and jumping off the hype of altcoins as well too, especially from a trading aspect as well.
Yeah, it's crazy though. I mean, 2x, 200% on investment. That's pretty good. If you look at traditional investing, right, that takes years to get, and you'd be ecstatic with the 2x return. So, I don't know. I think there's still a lot of gains to be had in Bitcoin though too. And the thing I like about it is, like you were saying, everything else is a little more speculative, and I think there's super small risk with Bitcoin. I think it's been de-risked over the years, and there's a lot less risk now, and all Bitcoin has to do is keep doing what it's been doing for the past 10 plus years, and just continue pumping out blocks. And it's a very simple protocol, and it's there's not much to speculate there. That's why I just a little bit more safer on my investments. I guess I'm not in the phase where I'm trying to get some crazy returns, but I think there's still a lot to go with Bitcoin still.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely. I agree with you 100%. I think Bitcoin is still king, and it will remain to be king as well. So I'm still super bullish of that. And I'm just trying to ride the waves from others and stack more sats. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh yeah, I understand that for sure. I'm stacking sats as well. So, Next, I want to move on to, the term toxic maximalism. You think, I've been asking a lot of people about this. You think there's a lot of people that need to chill out in the industry, in the Bitcoin community, and who need to, be a little more welcoming to people, in the space? Yeah. Yeah,
definitely. I think, and it's on all sides. The Ethereum maxis are also guilty. It's on all sides. And I think the biggest flame again has been between ETH and Bitcoin maxis in general. It's just been a nonstop thing. And again, like for me, like as either a marketer, somebody who's working in the industry, as a DeFi degen and trader, it's like I don't even care anymore about the chain. I mean, I do, but I don't at the same time. If I'm not long term about the chain, then like I'm going to follow the gains, and that is what it is. But also too, it's just like you can't discount these new layer ones that are coming out that have really interesting use cases and adoption as well. So it's like, I always keep things with the open mind now and not be so tribalist, because that got me nowhere. Like I jumped with the whole like EOS and other trains as well that came by, and it just didn't pan out. And there's no reason to do that. Like you're gonna miss so much opportunities, and there's just and even just one step back, like if you just look at the teams out there that are building and people that work in the industry, there's so much talent right now working across different chains and different industries. Like you said, like the Illuvium game and other ones are built off different chains. And if they can at least do the best job that they can and actually get mass adoption, then it's a win for us in the overall space, no matter what chain it is as well. So I think every chain can be purpose built or has different purposes as well, and it just like figures out where that fits and how that fits for you as well in terms of your investment or your appetite as well too. So that's all.
Yeah, I think there's definitely people, and like you were saying, in Ethereum maxis, Bitcoin maxis, we all need to, kind of get along here, I think, for sure. But so, yeah, what do you think about the new technology on Bitcoin, the Lightning Network, and El Salvador's adoption as a legal tender? Do you think that, Bitcoin's going to become more of a, not just a store of value, but a widely used medium of exchange? And do you think it's going to compete with fiat and eventually, overtake it, or you think they were going to coexist? How do you think that's all going to play out in the future?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how it plays. I mean, I'd love to see Lightning and El Salvador like really take off more. I think that it's the same reason where I see like right now, currently, like as a currency and payment system, like to me at least, like the qualities of a chain or the token has to kind of match something that's like a Visa or MasterCard level of transactions. Personally, if you're trying to use it as currency, because like just think about like the user experience. At the end of the day, that's why I really care when I look at adoption is like user experience for that. And if you have to sit there and just wait and it's not instant and the fees are absorbent as well, then I just personally don't see that as like a replacement for hard currency or fiat in that way, in the aspect where people are sending money and transporting.
Yeah, that's why the Lightning Network is so beneficial.
Sure. So I think Lightning Network is going to play a huge role of that, and I think Jack Dorsey is going to implement that in a much more larger scale, hopefully as well. Combining that with
on Twitter.
Yeah. I foresee it probably is going to use like your Twitter profiles as your main identification for social or your wallets, and then combine that with NFTs and other stuff that he wants to build on top of it as well. So I think that he's brewing something there we don't know yet, and he might push it through and implement it through Square. So I'm excited to see where that goes for that. But yeah, let's say Lightning is needed and necessary. DeFi on Bitcoin could be super interesting, adding more layers to it as well, and giving financial freedom or becoming a replacement bank for people. Like that'd be, imagine like, yeah, if there's Bitcoin DeFi and you're in El Salvador and everybody is like going Bitcoin as their main HODL, then like you can earn interest as a bank for holding that. Then that's again cements more staying like consistent growth and firepower for Bitcoin to have people start exiting their native dollar and going full Bitcoin as well too. So that's what I'm excited, and I think that I'm keeping an eye on like how that further develops as well too. But again, like what we're seeing is like further competition of these central bank digital currencies as well. CBDCs are going to come through China. Fed Reserve says that they're not really as interested, but I'm sure they're probably building something as well, and all these other governments are coming as well. They're like they can't be not looking at this and saying like we want a piece of it and we want full control of our citizens and the data and transactions, which is horrible if you think about it. You just see like if some of these like developing countries with dictators and stuff like taking full mass control of their dollars and misusing it and turns into like Venezuela and crashes it, then it's like you can't trust.
A very bleak future.
Yeah, you can't trust a centralized party to control your money as well, and even in China, like them cutting off your bank account whenever they want, like it's that's a scary road to go down, and I don't think that's a replacement for where we're going. I think it's a distraction, and it might be a forced centralized action, but it can't be forced because we got Bitcoin.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, Bitcoin is clearly superior. So yeah, I don't see CBDCs as a competing with Bitcoin in any way, because it's just a digital version of fiat, right? So yeah. So yeah, it's definitely interesting though that, like you mentioned, there's a lot of people who are unbanked, and people are able to have a bank and self custody their Bitcoin, and that's super awesome. Another thing is companies are starting to adopt it and hold it over fiat, which is super cool. MicroStrategy and Tesla being the two biggest, and Square being up there as well. Do you think more companies are going to be converting their fiat cash reserves? That's now a liability, right? That's what Michael Saylor says. That fiat is a liability because it's going down with certainty every year for sure. Yeah. And then you have something that has a hard cap that's guaranteed to not be debased. You think a lot of more companies are going to be holding on to Bitcoin?
I think so, and I think they'll. Whatever, they don't come now, then they're gonna be buying it at another new top. That's all. So it's like, well, if they wanna wait, if they want to wait for Elon to tweet up that they're going to accept Bitcoin again for Tesla again, that's going to see another spike again. So, and he already said it's coming. So it's like, we already know that is a catalyst event, because it straight up shot us to 60K from that. At least it started that run. So it's like, okay, do they, if they don't want to add it into the balance sheet, then they can wait. Well, great. Maybe it's like, what's the number though? Like they're waiting on. Does crypto need to be a $10 trillion market cap to make it seem like it's safe and legit? So then what are they doing? They're going to buy at the top and just like hope it's like a stable asset and just like stay there. Then cool. Okay, great. But that's how like the older dinosaurs move, right? They just want something that's safe. And I get it. They don't want to be the leaders in such in a world that they don't understand. But we're going to get into a place where we're going to be controlling the new financial markets, and we're the pioneers, and they're not. They're going to have to play ball with what's going on here.
Yeah, the legacy financial system is in for a disruption for sure. Where do you think we're gonna be in 5 years from now? You think more companies are going to be on board and holding 100%. Bitcoin? And
and I think that once we see more applications and adoption from like companies like Square and Twitter and others, like actually building really interesting things, and allowing, I think that Square is a good Trojan horse into like e-commerce as well as like brick and mortar as well. I think that's like another frontier that we still haven't fully conquered yet. For crypto to be accepted, it needs to be accepted as payment across all the things that we spend and do. Because once we're able to do that, then we can freely buy things and use it as real cash or real cash or real assets, real currency, I should say.
Yeah, I've seen videos of transactions happening in El Salvador where people go into their local grocery store and they buy some groceries and they scan the QR code on their phone. It gets immediately sent through Strike, through Lightning Network, layer 2. There's some centralization concerns perhaps with Strike, but that's how it has to start out, I think. But it's really cool to see that happening. I think Bitcoin is a little volatile currently still. It's not. I think it'll get a little more, less volatile over time. It's still an emerging asset class, so maybe we're not quite there yet as in terms of it being a widely adopted currency. But it's still cool to see it being tested out and the Lightning Network working great in countries like El Salvador. Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that further develops and just be part of the ride.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, to end this off, where do you think, what can we do to help spread the movement and get the word out about what Bitcoin does for humanity? What are you doing, and what do you think people should do to help grow it?
Yeah, for me, it's just continue to build, help companies or help groups and protocols continue to build, real cool dApps and applications for mass adoption. I think that the key is not necessarily to think of crypto only first, crypto native first applications. I think that we need to go directly to like what's happening in the fintech world and others to be able to offer a bridge or work with them again with like a Square to get mass adoption. So I think that like in the future we need to continue to work with fintechs or fintech-like companies and build our tools in that same fashion as well. With that in mind, where it's mainstream adoption first instead of mass adoption, crypto native users only. I think that's the way that we're still not there yet, and because of that, I think there's much more upside for us to go. And there's a lot more liquidity and money chilling elsewhere that we need to tap into. So we need to capture all those dollars.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. Definitely, fintech companies and Square is one of the first ones. Integrating, plugging in, so to speak, into Bitcoin. I think that's definitely the future for sure. So where can people find more about you online and about NFT Con and everything you're doing? Where can people find out
Yeah,
about
you
it?
can find me at nftcon.co. That's our upcoming NFT site, and then DeFiSummit.com as well for our DeFi event. We're going to be hosting an in-person conference during Art Basel as well. So that's be in Miami, November 30th to December 1st. As well, fully dedicated to DeFi and NFTs as well. So we're excited to be hosting that. Find me on Twitter, Justin Wu, or Hackpreneur. It's like hackathon,
It's
HACKA.
the coolest username.
I've always been like, participating in hackathons or hacking entrepreneurship. That's always been my thing.
I like it.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, I'll link your Twitter and a few other links in the description so people can find out about more about you. So, yeah, and thanks for being on. It was very fun talking to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Matt.